Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, it's so good to have you with me. I'm a professional intuitive empath, and today we're going to get right into it. I have been meaning to do some pre-records and get back to that, so we are, in fact, back and better than ever. So what we're going to do is get right into a pre-record from Momos Happy Place. For those of you that are new here, if I haven't said it already, I'm a professional intuitive empath. And what I do on this channel is I help us grow and evolve, but bling, 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 in all different ways, with all different methodologies. And sometimes it's from my stories, and today it's going to be from your stories. Momos Happy Place is a viewer and a subscriber that has been here for a while, and I love to see her pop into my lives. But she reached out to me, and I do have her permission, so I did ask and I did check, but I do have her permission to kind of share this with you guys. But she reached out, and I just thought it was just such an incredible letter. Because, we're always talking about all manner of different themes here on this channel, and she hits on her journey. And I'm so grateful to get to share this with you. Maybe some of you guys will take something from it, because you guys have heard me talk about me ad nauseum. And yes, as a teacher, it's what I signed up to do. But sometimes we just want to talk about you, and that's what I'm guided here to do, is to make sure that you guys are sharing your story. So can I tell you, it is the delight of my life when you guys reach out with a letter. I just have another upload here by Livy Sykes. I was saying Sky, so forgive me, Livy, if you see this video. Livy Sykes sent me a beautiful piece of work, a piece of art that she wrote that was inspired by a video that I made, Tall Poppy Syndrome, many months ago. And so it was just such a lovely full circle moment to get back to that finally and be able to do justice to it and don the crown. So if you haven't checked out the video where I have on the ruby crown and the poppy of filigree and flourishment, go check that out. That is for any empath. That is for any person who literally needs a boost to remember that you're a badass, that you're magical, and that you came here with something to do. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's get into what Momo's Happy Place has to say. She says, sharing my story as a thank you and blessings to you. So let's get into this, guys. It's so juicy. It's so good. So I'm going to see if the glare is going to be too much. We will take a look and see, okay? She says, greetings, Monette. She says, this is me, Momos Happy Place. And a little background here on this. That was a childhood nickname that no one in my adult life calls me. Nobody knows about it. That part of my life is over. But it brings me happiness. And so when I saw her, I knew she was a kindred spirit. After I read the letter, I was like, oh my God, soul sister. We have lived such similar lives. And not exactly the same, but very similar. And this is what it means to find your tribe. Isn't it funny that we have this vehicle called the internet, where we now find our tribe all over the place? We can find people that are like-minded and as quirky and as strange and funky and weird and artistic and interesting and kooky as we are, and we are fully embraced by it. So good. So I'm so excited. Let me refresh, and we're off to the races, my loves. Okay. She says, AKA, this is Momo's Happy Place. I'm not going to say her name because I don't have permission to do that specifically. She says, oh, sorry guys if this is blinding you too much. I wish I was on a live so I could get feedback, but I wanted to make sure that I gave this piece. And sometimes on a live we have energy popping in, which I love. I'm actually going to do a live reading, really fun, funky reading, so stay tuned for that. We've got some Campbell soup that we're going to be reading, and we're going to be doing some of my sparkly animals too, okay? And that will be my last thing for this evening. But she says, sorry if this is intrusive. I know how you value privacy, but I wanted to write to tell you how much you've helped me in my life. I'm gonna stop and just comment here, so it's gonna be a good old chat. So if you're not you don't have to pay attention to the screen or anything. I'm gonna read everything to you, as I do have her permission to do so. But what I'm gonna tell you guys here is this. I love that you guys value my privacy. I didn't realize that I conveyed that so much, but I get messages, letters, texts, emails, whatever, every day, and everyone's like, I know how you are about your boundaries. I know how you are about your privacy. And can I tell you how good that makes me feel? Because as an empath, we often struggle with that. And that was a huge, big deal for me, establishing proper boundaries with friends, with families, with lovers, with past people, all the rest of it, right? And to be here with my tribe, and you guys just love me, and God bless it. At 444, you guys put in the work. You are balancing me. And I just love that each one of you, I feel so respected for that specifically. And it's just such a delight. And so thank you. I don't have enough words to thank you. And Yeah, speak up for yourself, guys, because I didn't realize that I conveyed it so well. But there is not a letter I don't receive where someone says, hey, I know how you value boundaries, I know how you value honesty. And it's so validating because a lot of us have been in narcissistic dynamics, as I'm about to read here with Momos Happy Place, with people that gaslit us and whatever, and made it seem like we didn't have the ability to communicate well, or that we weren't communicating what our needs were. No, they just didn't like whatever we were communicating. So when I hear stuff like this, I'm like, oh, it wasn't me. I mean, I know that. I'm a practitioner. I've worked. I do this every day. But now I get it in a deeper way. When you find people that want to hear you, that want to respect you, that want to have an open mind to you, they will. And it's easy. Anyway, message that's for somebody out there. She says, I know how much you value privacy, but I wanted to write you to tell you how much you've helped me in my life. I would like to share my story. I'm going to get my little pointer here so that way I don't lose my place, guys. A little magic pointer never hurt anybody, right? Even with my glasses, yeah? I would like to share my story with you, and you can share and teach from what I've been through. I really feel like this is a detailed shout out to how you've helped me deal with what I went through. It's my story, but most of it I would not have had the words or puzzle pieces to what I was going through, because without spirituality, I don't know how I would have even coped. Sorry if it's a long read. No need to apologize. I love a long read. I'm a nerd. I'm a reader. I love it. And but it's just my way of letting you know that the work you do and provide is really the bee's knees, and it's such a healthy release and clarity. This is my way of transmuting the energies of the past, and I want to stop there. We sometimes will judge the work we do. I had a reading tonight with Nalaja. Girl, don't get me. I promise you. I'm going to know your name so good by the end of this lifetime that it's going to be music, right? Chef's kiss. I'm going to get it right. But I had a reading tonight with her, and it was so cool how the universe linked us up, and a lot of cool stuff happened there, and I was so happy about that. But she was so sweet and edified me, as I was like, we all go through the journey of spirituality, but we all have egos, right? And so sometimes we're on here and I'm like, nobody's cares, nobody's watching, nobody's paying attention, and then I get letters like this and I'm blown away, or I hear feedback from my client that I had tonight, and I'm like, who found me via YouTube, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. This is exactly why you do the work you're supposed to do. It's not about you. We can get on our ego, but then I'm reminded, oh, this is helping other people see things clearly, just like other people help me to see things clearly. And it reminds me of a quote by Maya Angelou: when you learn, teach, and when you teach, learn. Okay? So tonight, the teacher shall be Momos Happy Place, and I will get on with the reading. And I love what she says here about transmuting energies of the past. I've had people ask me about that. The way we transmute is we take our negative energies, our negative experiences, and our negative things, and we share our story. Or we put words to it. We use our throat chakra. We speak power into our story. We do that. That is how you kind of speak into transmuting the negative thing that's happened to you. She starts off, she says, I was 33. He was 35, and my other partner, she was 25 when we became a throuple. Ooh, it's juicy already. I was a solo traveler with culinary as my craft and freedom as my endgame. I've been to many countries around the world for work and play, and never felt the call to settle into a relationship for stability until COVID. My father passed away a few months before I decided to commit to a relationship, and even better, a polyamorous relationship. This was noted. This was the noted timestamp in my life that explains a large part as to why I needed for this relationship to work. I didn't want to die alone. Can any of us relate to that? I love her frankness. I love her honesty here. COVID was running rampant with no vaccine, and everyone around was at risk of being left alone. Because you guys remember in the pandemic that it was no questions asked. If you got it, you were going to die. This is a very scary time, and many of us know people that passed away. Whether we had it or not, a lot of us know people that passed away. So she says, she said, I also had old work relationships. Excuse me. I also had old relationships of friends with benefits hanging on the side, and never really felt committed for a while, and wasn't being 100% transparent with who I was still keeping contact with. I was coerced into getting into a polyamorous relationship with his new supply because she was introduced to this concept to him, and me being open and carefree person that I was, I figured if I can't beat him, join him. I felt the knives that I'd introduced I felt the knives that I put into my own heart when I went against my intuition and said yes. First red flag. I bought a one-way ticket to the competition, and it was chaos and shadowy competition everywhere I turned. He also had mommy and daddy issues. He was neglected by his mother and his aunt, and and he was neglected by his mother, and his aunt ended up fully raising him. So the concept of triangulation and competition was his comfort zone. What's so funny, guys, is she's put little like golf red flags here. So her first red flag starts there, red flag. He never met his father, another red flag. He was divorced at 22, another red flag. He was having a tumultuous custody battle with the mother of his child, who was a Scorpio. Y'all, what do we know about those low vibrational Scorpios? That was so toxic. So, and it was so sad how they attacked each other, and how sad for the child. Another red flag. He had one friend who was an ex-girlfriend of his from years ago, a flying monkey. One friend, she puts up 3 red flags. These are all the red flags that I ignore now that I look back on it. I had pity for him. I wanted to grow and change and evolve with the concept of a modern relationship, or what being in a modern relationship looks like. So I became, to become a better human. He broke up with me once before, and I was the only one that had to fix the relationship. So let's stop there. How many of us have been in this position where so many of the things can you relate to? Being the person that is always the fixer in the relationship, some other person is coercing you into some utter bullshit, and you're the one giving all of this emotionality, being a sweet empath and doing all of that. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have our own codependency. And one of the things I love about this letter, I'm doing a little bit of a foreshadowing, is that she acknowledges her areas where she could have done better. She acknowledges the areas where she overcompensated, or as you saw here, where she's throwing up all of these red flags, right? So, red flag to anybody that's watching. If you're the person that's doing all of the fixing, you're not in a relationship where someone is like working with you and trying to help you. So that's a red flag. Pay attention to that. So let's see here. So I did fix the relationship, she said. I got to listening to self-help podcasts that started to give me clues of how I can become a better person regarding communication. I didn't have any, all caps any, boundaries. I'm a life path 3, same girl, and a destiny 5. So creativity and freedom, soul seeker, and spontaneity is my jam. And the universe I now see puts me in imprisoning dynamics. This is so powerful. She says, and the universe I now see puts me in imprisoning dynamics that challenges me to step into my north node, which is Aries, of course, so that I can one day be a sovereign leader. This is so powerful. The reason I love this letter, because it's a masterclass of all of the work that I do here. She just ticked all the boxes. And like I said, when I first saw her name, I knew she was a person of mine. I didn't understand it. When I read the letter, I was like, Jesus, Lord and Savior, you planned it. This person. What she just said is that the area of success and failures for her happens to be in areas of imprisonment. So the universe purposely allowed her to be in confining, imprisoned, or competitive situations so that she would purposely set herself free. With Aries in her north node, she is meant to be a leader. Aries in the zodiac is referred to as the baby boss. So it is quite literally her destiny to be a conquistador and to lead and to open the door first and to go ahead and to make these kind of decisions. She's not necessarily a team player at her highest and best self. That's why I say it's so important to know your astrology chart and to know the parts that it plays. Pardon me, guys. Because what will happen is you will try to constrict yourself into something that is absolutely and utterly not right for you. So that's just a little message from me to you. So she says, I met him on a fetish website, and he was intrigued by all of me. He was intrigued by all of me. and how I could fall in love with someone like him. Anybody that's narcissistic or toxic will love that you love them. They are not in love with you. They are in love with the fact that you're in love with them loving you, them. Yeah, you guys get it, right? So he was intrigued at how I could fall in love with someone like him that doesn't have a passport. Whew, guys, I want you to hear, these are red flags going up for me, okay? That doesn't have a passport, that has a quiet lifestyle, and just wanted to be loved and have a family that works. So, my freedom-loving Momos Happy Place, my sweet friend here, loved somebody who was on his resume, on his relationship resume, came in hot as I'm totally limited. I'm not going to travel, or if I do, it's going to be like this Herculean feat for you to get a passport for me. I have limitations. I have a lot of family issues. I don't really want to leave my spot. It's not comfortable. I need a lot of validation. I'm super comfortable with triangulation. I like the attention of men and women, and polyship feels okay for me, and you love me, and you're this worldly, well-traveled, interesting, well-spoken, culinary, and all that stuff, passport having, self-generating, financially self-generating person. You see how we will put ourselves in a thing and we'll be like, oh, it's opposites attracting. No, I dare say it's a lesson downloading, a lesson that you incarnated into this life to actually have, and you didn't even realize what you were doing, but you actually came in to undo a mess. You put yourself in a quagmire so that you can undo it. So this is really interesting. She says, I got into a polyship without vetting him properly. What do I talk about on here, y'all? Vet these people properly. I don't care if your poom poom is throbbing and you're like, if I don't let this person climb on top of me, in me, beside me, behind me, I don't even know. If you do not vet them properly, you will end up bonding pheromonally and hormonally and then being like, oh my goodness, this person is absolutely not right for me. But you've already committed, and we empaths, once we commit and we share a good juju, people get addicted to us, we get addicted to people. Y'all know how it goes. Be very careful. Vet someone properly. Don't just go, we don't get to just be hoes. It just is what it is. And she wasn't being a hobo. But I think what happened here, and take no offense to that Momos Happy Place, what I'm saying is that our sexual energy is so potent we can't give it freely. That's what I'm saying, okay? And I have videos up here. Your poom poom's full of prestige. I never have lied. If y'all have ever not had somebody want to leave your side, even if you're tired of them, even if you realize they're trifling and toxic and you get the lesson and you don't want to be twin flames anymore, they're still obsessed with you. That's because the sex is crazy, but it's crazy because you're emotionally connected and you're giving them more than they've ever gotten from anybody, no matter what kind of triangulation they put you in. Anyway, so let's carry on. So she said, I met him on a fetish website. So I got into a polyship without vetting him properly, and that's a lesson learned. So she got the lesson. But I didn't realize that he was talking to another girlfriend all about how amazing I am, and she wanted a piece too. Momos Happy Place. If I can't tell you how this was my life. I am so careful now with whomever I deal with to be like, don't talk to your other spouse. Don't talk to your, and this is not even about polyship. I'm just talking about regular friendships. Don't talk to your spouse about me. I like will warn people in the head and they'll be like, oh, silly. And then later they're like, it never fails. It never ever fails. And in my situation specifically, Momos Happy Place, I so relate. My person wouldn't stop running her mouth and it engendered all this jealousy and craziness. And it was so unnecessary as far as I was concerned. So now she wanted a piece too. And then Momos Happy Place says, did she want a piece or the whole thing? I already know the answer to that. Once I realized how he was treating her, which was almost like second best, and that the love he shared with me was unique and always outshined their dynamic, oh, they had a baby daddy, baby girl dynamic, which clearly feeds into the daddy issues on both sides. So this is a fetish subsect where you are treated like a child specifically, and you can find YouTube videos on it. So literally, like, the guy you're dating will bring you home crayons and like have coloring time with you and put you down for nap time and like shit like that. It's like a thing. It's like a whole thing. And like, it's not just like daddy, you're my daddy in like a hot sexy way, like zaddy daddy. It's like, you're my daddy, like give me my Go-Gurt and applesauce. It's a thing. So a lot of issues here. Okay, I'm not yucking anybody's yum, but I'm dutifully going to explain to you anything that you may not have been familiar with. Okay, so that's what that was about. about. So that's what she's explaining. So she just wanted a polyamorous relationship because the one she experienced in the past were with her being the unicorn, meaning the shiny new play toy amongst the couple. She also had daddy issues because she was one of 20 something siblings that were from her dad, different mothers, and she never got the validation that she deserved. You are so right, Momos Happy Place says, when you say that you are in an illusion when in these type of relationships, because I felt worse than stagnant. And she says that because I often talk about the fact that it is impossible to have balance with three. I don't care how much you think you are. I don't care. Like in one case, I watched somebody who thought she was going to be somebody's like hot, sexy side piece, but then she wanted to be the main piece, and she thought she was really the main piece energetically and emotionally. She didn't understand what the person was still loving her husband, and then still loving Desiree, and still loving Mary May, and still loving Shanana Ray, and she didn't get it. She's so ignorant. But sometimes we can all be that, you know? We can all be that. So, you know, it's the truth. And that's why I'm always preaching that to you, because a lot of people think they want it until they get it, and it's just not, a lot of us are not built for that level of companionship. Groundhog Day vibes are for the birds, and she says she was on autopilot and I had to shift it somehow. I felt like I was regressing. My vocabulary became basic. I kept forgetting things. I stopped eating. I isolated myself from my friends. I never trusted myself to get anything done successfully. I had allowed polyamory because I was operating in a lower vibrational Libra energy, which is sometimes dates for clout, but because being in a poly ship, the status of the relationship, maybe I would be having, which being in a poly ship sounded like I could do it because 7th house deals with relationships. So she's really diving deep into her astrology chart, which I just am in love with. And it's easy for me to make friends. If I love myself more than the status of the relationship, maybe I would have be having a different kind of conversation. LOL. I was comfortable lying to myself that everything is fine for a long time. That this relationship only mirrored back to me what I was giving out. Let's stop there. A relationship will do exactly that. It's only going to give to you what you're giving out. So, if you have ideals and beliefs about yourself, that will be reflected to you. If you think you're not good enough, if you think you're not good enough for someone to commit to you fully, even if you think that you're co-signing it, as she did, eventually it's going to start to eat away at you. See what happens with your North Node, it starts to push to the top. And it says, this is no longer your truth. And you have to break out of this, because this is the you of your youth that was unseasoned, that was not vetting people properly, and that didn't understand your intrinsic value. So something that may have worked for you in your 20s is not going to work for you in your 30s or your 40s, and so on and so on. And so I think that was so powerful that she said I was comfortable lying myself for a long, long time. And the relationship just mirrored back to her what she was giving out. So she says, I was love bombed in the beginning of the relationship, and I didn't even know what that was. So many of us come to these terminologies as we find self-love. The universe downloads us, our angels download us, our ancestors download us, and we're like, oh, that's what that was about. That's what that's called. It's so nice to find the verbiage. And I'm like I said, the teacher in me can't help it. Even in the children's book I wrote, I included vocabulary words to help stretch our imaginations and stretch those kids' brains, because it's so important for you to be able to put a word to a thing, because once you know it, you will never unknow it, and you will always be able to recognize when someone's using a tactic like that with you. So she says that she was love bomb, and she didn't know what it was. And she said it was an ego booster, I guess. She said, I was gaslit for years and didn't realize this is why I felt confused all the time. The sex and drugs only elevated our relationship a tiny bit, but it ultimately got us both locked up in a Pennsylvania prison for 3 weeks in a red state. She says, yep, I, a young black woman with no prior convictions, sat in jail for 11 days. Sat in jail for 11 days for possession of drugs, small amounts of weed, Molly shrooms, and 2 Adderalls. And he sat in jail for 3.5 weeks for driving under a suspended license, creating a new trauma bond story. Y'all, this letter's so juicy. I feel like I have to do it in parts. I'm going to try to get it all done. Do you see what not listening to your higher self will get you into. All of a sudden you're in all of this like weird trouble. You're like, wait, how did I get here? I'm not supposed to be here. This isn't even my lifestyle. I don't really like, I'm not a criminal. And here she is having this experience, and now they have a new trauma bond story too. And we all know what trauma bonding is. Either you trauma bond over abuse that you guys have suffered mutually, it's similar, or you trauma bond over having a cataclysmic situation like this happen, or you trauma bond because maybe you guys both lost parents at the same time or whatever. But trauma bonding will happen, and it makes you feel like, oh, this is my person, only this person gets me, when really it's this abusive woven web of crazy energy that's really happening. So she sat in jail. So she's like, me as a black person, I'm here. How did I get here? She says, yay, what is this? LOL. The reason why we sat in the jail for longer than normal is because our bails were set at $150,000 each. We got them lowered, but it was still ridiculous and prejudiced and racist AF. I was sitting in there on or for my birthday, and I always say our birthday is a new year, so it's an opportunity for us to kind of like reassess the past year. What an eye-opening moment, what a watershed moment for Momos Happy Place. It's just an incredible story. She says, OMG, wild, LOL. I laugh about it now because I will speak my truth about it, but before I leave this planet, preempting more awareness on the prison systems. So we bounce back, and were better than ever until random moments of paranoia started creeping into his head. Self-sabotaging behaviors were happening on his end, and I couldn't fight it anymore. I tried to fix it. I tried to fix my approach. I tried so many different ways to coddle him until I realized he was a man baby that will never be satiated. I'll never forget his words. If you're not happy, I'm not happy. This was the line that kept me in a loop of trying to make that make sense. The carrot dangling of children and family got snipped once he went into a narcissistic rage and cursed my whole existence out of his life by saying he would never have a baby with me. Also, I was a fraud and that I wasn't a free spirit. I gotta stop there. The narcissist is observing you because what they want to do is they want to discredit every single thing that you are. She is a free spirit. She is not a fraud. She does not have imposter syndrome. She is everything that her rhymes say. I have a video up here. Check that out. I'm everything that my rhymes say. What he did was he was beginning the devaluing stage because he wanted to move the new supply into a new place. So as I was reading this, I was getting triggered because I have been here. So all of a sudden now she's evil, she's bad, she's a fraud, she's this, she's that. And the truth of the breadcrumbing, which is something that narcissists or toxic people will do, I'm going to have a baby by you and we're going to like get married and all that stuff. He never intended to do that. He just wanted to keep her stuck to him and tethered. But see, the mask will always slip with the narcissist. So then he like freaks out and he's like, you're this, you're that. I'll never have a baby with you. And tells the truth. A truth she can't unhear. And in those moments, it's soul crushing. We're like, oh my God, God, why would you put me through this? God puts you through it to set you free so that you could finally see, even from their face, how much they are cruel and never cared about thee. So everything she thought was an illusion, and it like literally comes crashing down. So, she says, my poor little eggs were not having that kind of talk, so there falls the tower. And the girlfriend wanted kids too, which my mind became riddled with competition even more now. I'm 35. She's 26. The numbers showing that time is running out for me to get my act together are ticking. The thing that I didn't know is the thing I didn't know I really wanted was taken from me because he was on a self-sabotaging rampage and didn't want to take accountability for any of the mess that was created. Narcissists never take accountability, okay? And they will sabotage the shit out of everything. Mr. Chalk has been in one of my lives before, and he asked me, like, what made you cut off ties with the narcissist? And there's a million reasons for the covert narcissist I dealt with, but really she was an agent of chaos. She was like an evil agent of chaos. It was just like, I'm very organized. I know how to get things done. I know how to execute. And she, like, purposely would be like, oh, that's really nice that you built that whole thing. Flash, fuck it, like, she just, like, was reckless, and purposely so. And then I'd be like, well, let me try this. That's why I so related to this letter when she was like, I tried to fix it. I took classes. I read seminars. I watched YouTube. It's useless. Utterly useless with the narcissist. They will find a way to destroy it, okay? So, she's in her head now because triangulation has begun, the narcissist's favorite thing. She's 26, you're 35, da, 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 like all of that evil stuff. So, let's see. He didn't want to take any accountability for the mess he created. Narcissists never take accountability. I'd never been kicked out of anybody's house before, and that's what sealed the ending of the relationship. He slandered my name, smear campaign, narcissism, hashtag narcissism, slandered my name and character in front of the girlfriend who didn't even have my back, obviously, clearly, because she wanted your position the whole time, and I was so embarrassed. She was his new main supply. Get into these words if you've never heard them before. The main supply. He was always going to eradicate her. The red flag for me was right away when he was like, oh, there's this person and she looks up to you so much and she loves you. That's exactly how it begins. Narcissists like read the same handbook. I'm convinced of it. It never deviates or changes. So she was his new main supply. And I was old and expired. She said I looked it too. Dim my light to fit in because all I ever wanted was to be accepted. Inner child wounds, lack of eating, ignoring every gut feeling, and stress had me looking like those little things from The Little Mermaid, the poor unfortunate souls. And that's because a narcissist will suck the energy out of you. For anybody that needs a visual, look at Johnny Depp in the beginning of the Run Diaries versus Johnny Depp today. And yes, aging was a natural process that was going to happen, but Amber was gorgeous while they were together, and Johnny was looking more and more and more haggard because a narcissist literally sucks the life out of you. So she's saying, I'm starting to look like the poor unfortunate souls. She says, LOL, poor unfortunate soul. But it's like you said, that's what energy vampires will do. Treat you like a blood bag because you don't have the vervein or self-love running through your veins. She says, I was casted out of the group, and this was my only fear. The only one, universe, LOL. And I was placed in isolation for my karma. This is, this is when the tower falls and we're like, oh my God, you're punishing me. You hate me, universe. Why are you doing this? Like the one thing I feared you're making happen. I just love this person. I just want to make it work. They let that happen to you so that you can find your worth. It is the worst thing when it happens, and it is the best thing when you reflect back on it. Wouldn't trade nothing for my journey now. Momos Happy Place, I'm hugging you, girl. When I read that, I was like, oh, I get it, girl. I get it. And we were challenged in that area, right? And now I like the world is mine. It's an incredible, like, I think of what I had to, it reminds me of that Fleetwood Mac song of what you had and what you lost. I don't know what I was mourning. And I know you don't know what you're mourning either. I lost nothing. I gained everything. Yeah, thunder only happens when it's raining, and narcissists only love you when they're playing, All right, so let's take a look. She says, I had to go sit in the corner somewhere because the dark night of the soul was coming for my ass, and I had to face my fears of being alone. Ugh. But then I did what Scorpio stelliums do best. Phoenix bird style, and I picked myself up off the floor by myself and was made new. Funny thing, though, when we were partying at the end, he was the one that put me onto tarot card readings and YouTube. I was never really big on YouTube, because all we did was watch music videos and it's entertaining. But then I was teaching him about stocks and investing in crypto and traveling and therapy through YouTube and many other life-changing moves that I would never get verbal credit for. Narcissists never give you credit. They just steal everything you do. And he said that he used it to be into tarot when he was dating his baby's mother and left it behind. When I learned about tarot online through him, it was uphill from there. I got into tarot and became low-key obsessed for a bit and latched onto the many tarot readers that empowered me by answering questions that I needed the answers to. But it was the Ace of Swords, that's a beautiful card, that's a card of truth, that breathed life into spirituality for me. Knowing that God did not forsake me and that he was always there when I thought I was doing it all on my own empowered me to take my power back. I tried to convince my ex that I found the answer. I knew why I was the way that I am, and I knew what I needed to do to change. I said that I realized that what was missing from the relationship was faith, was spirituality. I got the answer right. LOL. For him, he wasn't impressed because who would, right? Sounds like a lot of work. And he pretty much, exactly, narcissists don't want to do work. He pretty much made spirituality a me thing. LMAO. How funny is it that the one thing that could have lessened the stress was something that was introduced to me by the Narc? The universe has a sense of humor sometimes, and it's like the counterattack move that worked out in my favor. I since have had the dark night of the soul, learned all about my natal birth chart, learned about my higher self and who it is, and and that I come from a Sirius A and various other systems that I connect heavily with in the angelic realm, and there is a world that extends beyond the 3D, and that I am magical. That's all I ever wanted to be, was magical, because I love love. I lost my appetite for excessive drinking and drugs, and I've healed a whole lot, and I still am. I've learned to trust my intuition, and I know that I'm going places where my exes can't go. Oh, the rare air syndrome. Once I left the relationship, I got a raise from my job. Once I left, months later, I realized that my boss at my job was also a narcissist, and I was being supplied for the job, so I left to a different job that provided me with benefits and flexibility for travel, and I got a raise with that job after 2 months. Now, I also found that my old job, that I left misclassified me and wasn't paying me what I deserved. So there might be a fraud case coming soon, because the universe wants me to get all my coins now that I realize my self-worth. Amen. I say things are moving in the new direction. I gotta just speak on that real quick because my phone's gonna die. Listen, when you walk away from a narcissist, the way that you are blessed will blow your freaking mind. I want you to try it out. If you feel impoverished, it's because you're connected to a narcissist. If things aren't working, it's because you're connected to a narcissist. They're sucking the life and energy out of you. And the universe will find really clever, fun ways to bless you. Like she said, I was at this other job. I realized this, and I went here, and then boom, 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 boom. And she's just leveling up. I have the same exact experience. I really didn't think that person was that bad when I was in their thrall. And then when I got away from them, I'm like, oh my God, they're the devil. They're the Leviathan. They're leprosy. They're like all of the worst things. I totally get it now. She says things are moving in a new direction. Let's see how long. Okay, I think I can get this in before the phone dies. Things are moving in a new direction that is void of confusion and fog. I'm regaining my confidence every day. I have traveled more being single now in 8 months than I did when I was in the relationship. Wow. I made more trips back and forth to the courthouse for him than anywhere else. Basically, very few trips that were enjoyable in the 2 years of being in that relationship. I've evolved in my therapy sessions with therapists that enable and support positive growth. I haven't had any crazy issues with my lady parts due to celibacy. God bless celibacy. Even if, like, you have to divest your energy sexually from the narc. Like, that's the best thing that ever happened to me. Was I was like, I'm not touching you. I don't give a damn. And also, you know what's so funny? At the end of it, I found her utterly unattractive in so many ways, like saggy boobs, the whole thing. And I'm nothing against a saggy boob. We all got a saggy boob. I just didn't find anything attractive. Stop sleeping with that person, just completely. And what I will tell you is, you'll be free. You'll be free here, okay? You'll be free here. So she says, because of celibacy, peace of mind, I have so many blessings that have sprinkled in my life that I can't even babe, can you bring a phone cord here, just because I'm about to die and I'm going to try to rush through it, but thank you so much. Celibacy, peace of mind, the inner world, blah, 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 blah. Let me go back. Let me slow down. My angel said everything's fine. Let me slow down. Okay. I haven't had any crazy issues with my lady parts due to celibacy and peace of mind. And I have so many blessings that have sprinkled in my life that I can't even believe the illusional box I put myself, or the disillusional box I put myself in. But I see what happens on the inner world happens on the outer world. I now can see through the governments and terrible societal norms that shaped and bred. Okay, hold on one second, guys. Let's pause for a moment of, thank you. Go, wait, right there. Right. That's it. We're good. All right, guys, hold on. Let's see if I can do this. Salvage it. Yay! We were on 3%. Not today, Satan. All right, thanks, babe. Okay. See, listen to your angels. See, I was panicking, and they were like, "We're gonna send him out just at the right time." And guys, it's like mad late at night. Okay, so. I see what happens at the other. I now can see through the governments and terrible societal norms that shaped and bred even more narcissists and codependent people, and I have more compassion for the world. The fear is the underlining factor of it all, and I get it, and I am breaking free from this old matrix so I can create my own reality where I can be more independent in the life in life and detach from the old ways of being in this world. I have lessons for days that I'm sifting through when it comes to this type of relationship dynamic, and I am so grateful for you and your work. So grateful that you came out on top with so many wisdom nuggets, man. So am I, and thank you. Like, y'all, wouldn't take nothing from my journey now. Didn't know I was gonna get to the place where I love what happened to me. It is the best thing. Like, no fruit baskets will be sent to the narcissist or the supplies or the flying monkeys. But oh my gosh, I won. I got the best life from this. It was the best thing that ever happened to me, really. Wisdom nuggets, so many wisdom nuggets for you to help others out here. I'm now hooked on Dr. Venkin. Mind blown. He's so detailed. Isn't he amazing? Guys, go check out Dr. Sam Venkin. He is the godfather of narcissistic abuse therapy and narcissism. He, I do believe, is a narcissist himself, but he's professorial. He's actually a doctor, and he's fantastic. It's like best content on YouTube. Interesting voice. I am a Gemini rising, so I like interesting voices, dialects, and accents. Like, I could listen to Russell Brand all day. Anybody that has an accent, I'm in. So for me, it works. For some other people, it may not. You may like creep you out. Like, he's got a very, like, almost storybook Grimm's fairy tale voice, you know, like, and not the good sweet Grimm's fairy tale, but like the kids were eating in the oven fairy tale, that kind. Thank you. She says, I needed his perspective today, and the others you have mentioned. It's like a breath of fresh air to have someone else put the logic to what I was experiencing, and it's a sign that the universe wants us to help cultivate our future with better self-awareness and understanding of human behaviors. I appreciate everything that you do and all the works that you put out. I'm always so excited to learn from you and love that you created a business for yourself. Man, me too. Check that out, guys. evolvingwithmonette.com. Book me if you want to work together. I have narcissistic abuse, and my angels have me price set about change and synchronicity specifically. So it's not even my normal price that I would charge an hour, because it's about setting you guys free, and narcissistic abuse takes time, you know? So anyway, go check that out. You will find it under readings and weddings on the second page when you go to my website, okay? In any case, I'm so grateful for my business. I have been inspired to get more into spiritual practices, and maybe one day become a practitioner. I already speak that over you. You already are a practitioner, Momos Happy Place. You have so much to share, and so it is. Become a practitioner and have my own business and create a channel talking about all that I know and have learned in this life. You are supposed to do it. It's already so. My voice was blocked. Yep, that throat chakra. But like the Little Mermaid, my spirit guides and ancestors broke me free from limiting beliefs and generational curses, and it is time to shine. It is written in the human design charts for me to do so, and I'm going to do what my spirit wants, and everything will work out in the best case scenario. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I say, many blessings to you and all that you touch. Best wishes. Thank you for always holding space for us souls that are on our journey back to ourselves. Thank you. Thank you, Momos Happy Place. Guys, wasn't that powerful? I don't even really have much else to say. I mean, me, who loves all the words, has nothing else to say. She covered it. I love so many parts of her story. I loved watching her grow inside of it, realizing and connecting the dots of the lesson, how she ended up in that jail cell, why she ended up in that triangulation, why she allowed that to be a reality for her, how she broke free, how she answered her soul's call about what would and wouldn't be. Just This is one of my favorite letters. They're all my favorite letters. How do you pick your favorite baby when all of you guys are setting yourself free? You're each my favorite baby. I'm so proud of you. 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 For someone that's watching and being like, what is she so proud of? I don't get it. You're still on your journey. And for someone that's like getting it, I'm so proud of you, because you made it through a really hard part in your journey. For someone that just stumbled upon this video and you're like, yeah, I think this person's a narcissist, I've got an encyclopedia here. Check it out, okay? From narcissistic best friends to lovers to bosses, I've covered the gamut as best I could, but it's not just me. Like I've mentioned, or like Momos Happy Place mentioned in here, there's an army of real practitioners and doctors and other people. There are a lot of people in here just sharing their stories that have become coaches, is because we have a calling to set other people free. And that is something that I do offer. But it's something that I do so happily because I love watching you turn into your own version of your tallest poppy. And that narcissist is trying to cut you down, suck your energy, trying to demoralize you, trying to get you out of believing how incredible you were. It just is laughable to me that this man was like, "You're not a traveler, you're not a free spirit." No, he wasn't, and he was projecting all the things he could never be. I remember wanting to travel with a covert narc too and make all these things happen, and she would always like gaslight herself about how she was like this badass woman that was like going to take over the world and help people and go to political campaigns and like do things, and she did nothing. She could never do anything. She couldn't do anything. And when she couldn't, she realized she was not going to do anything. When she started to try to judge me for wanting to be that kind of free, and I am. I travel, I do things. I don't always share everything that I do because I do love my privacy. Who knew? But I'm out here, y'all. Even while being sick and recovering, I mean, my husband and some friends were like, "You should have sat down a little bit more." But I just loved my life, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is what life is for." I had to sit or lay or not be part of society, and now I realize, like, I'm free. I was free. It's like in The Color Purple, like I was free. Like I realized that I set myself free, and I will never be on bended knee and subjected to any narcissistic belief about my limitations. My husband is a Capricorn, and he loves for me to be home. That's his jam. And I said, "Listen, if we're going to be in each other's lives, you have to understand I'm going to be out here." Hold on, guys. Let's let me grabbing on my chest. Sometimes they have a strange hair and it does wild things and you're like freaking out. But I'm going to be out here. I have to travel. And I remember him telling me, because of his own limiting beliefs. This is what I'm saying. He's not toxic and evil, but he was projecting something on me. Right when we started dating, he was like, "You're never going to go to Paris or do this or do that." And I was like, "For real? I'm not?" Don't believe me, just watch. I went to all the places and more to come than he thought. And it was because that was his limiting beliefs. It's not necessarily what he wanted. That was not something he could see. And now he actually does travel with me, which is so funny. It's not something that he could see himself doing. And it's not as much as that is like, I had to realize, sometimes you have to give something up to find yourself. Just because I had envisioned that partnership for me included travel, and that's not what my husband's jam was, I had to figure out, like, okay, it's not his jam, but does that mean that I'm going to forfeit my dreams? With a covert narcissist, the same thing. Does that make sense? So I love that she says, "I traveled more in the last 8 months than I did in the 2 years for this relationship." It was back and forth to the courthouse. She was in purgatory. She was in jail. Now she's free and she's living her best life. Whatever your jam is, the narcissist will try to yuck your yum and tell you it's not possible and you can't get it done. And they will start to sabotage you in mind Jedi trick ways. And then you'll be like, "Oh, I guess why isn't this working? Why isn't my vehicle working? Why isn't this?" There's all kinds of negative energy transference that will happen. That's because they're stuck. And that's because that's their life. And they want you to embody that. That is not your life, homie. That is not your life, sweeties. That is not your life. Do not embody that. Set yourself free. When I tell you, I am so grateful to share this energy with you today. If you like Momos Happy Place, please leave her a message below, comment below, and tell her how much it blew open your mind. Maybe you got some nuggets there. Maybe you weren't connecting all the dots about, like, "Oh, this is pushing me into my north node," or "I have an issue with being confined, so I incarnated into relationships that were all about confinement," or "Maybe I need to move into this direction," or "I realize that I don't want a polyamorous relationship." Yeah, that's not for us. And it's not for the weak of heart. So many people think they're so capable of it. And I knew somebody who was so utterly weak and incapable of any kind of mature anything. And I thought, this is the hill you want to die on, because this hill is going to actually put you into an insane asylum. You're not capable. You don't have the grit or the gut or the ability or the intellect really to manage this. And it doesn't matter how smart you are. Not a lot of us do. But it's even more so when someone's got a lot of self-esteem issues. And people with that will find themselves there. It doesn't mean that it can't work for some, but it's such a small percentile. It's minuscule. It's almost laughable. So don't put yourself in that situation. It's an illusion. And I love hearing firsthand from the horse's mouth, if you will, Momos Happy Place, from the beautiful queen, my traveling sister, my life path 3 sisterin. I love love hearing how you found out many men and women was not necessarily for you. Be bisexual, embrace yourself, do you, boo. But connection and intimacy is who she's about. Taking back her sexual energy, that celibacy helped her dig her way out, getting in touch with herself and really consuming as much as she could, going into hermit mode, put her into another level and helped her ascend to her north node. I couldn't be more proud. It's a master class on how to and how not to. But that's what life is all about. What do they say? Better to have lived and loved than to never have loved at all. Well, now I believe for you, Momos Happy Place, love is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. I'm hearing fall, and you're in the thrall of something. This love you have for yourself will only trickle in all these other ways. Like you said, it's already begun. It's beginning. It's begun with the work, feedback, and the rest of it. So happy for you. I can't wait for a follow-up letter in a year or 2 or 3. I can't wait to talk about your channel when you're here, because this is never about competition, as we both have learned, right? It's about staying in your own lane and teaching about the lessons you have learned. And so I support everybody that's on here. You guys hear me shout out names: Tanisha, Just Theory, Gilly, you know what I mean? If someone comes to me and they're like, I have a channel, I'm like, I got you, boo. How can I help you to do you? Because we all incarnate for different reasons. It won't all be spiritual, but for you, my sweet Momos Happy Place, I imagine that someday we'll be on a stage together chatting about things and teaching other sister. And I would love to have you at any seminar I ever did, and I'd hope to be at yours too. But anyway, I love you guys. So good sharing energy with you. Please write me. My little reader heart, my little bookworm at the book fair, little internal child self adores a good story. And this was so good and juicy. But I love that it was filled with all of my favorite things: North Nodes and astrology and ex-narcissist relationships, no more polyamory, and identifying our actual spaceship. I caught that there. Palladian or Starseed Minnetonkan or what? These are a few of my favorite things to chat about. Share with me your story. Write me a letter. I'll ask permission. I'll do you one better. And if you say yes, I'll read it on here. And we can release a new person from some other unknown fear. You guys are all of my favorite things. I'm so grateful for the joy you bring. I'm so grateful for the information and the intel you bring. I'm so grateful that you like what I'm doing. But even if you didn't, it's still my calling. And that's the message for someone out there. Fuck if anybody likes or cares. Stand up for yourself and do it year after year, day after day. And I promise you, the blessings and the right tribe of people will matriculate your way. And so it is. I say. I love you guys. Come back and join me next time, and we will continue to evolve together.